I am DM Zone. This is Gamers Oasis. Let's get into it. Okay, guys, so we're going to be getting into a lot of things. I got to reposition several things. I'm not quite 100% ready, but I am 20 minutes late from where I really wanted to start, but I did leave this window kind of open to allow myself the opportunity to get in and kind of get some stuff fixed and finished before I started. So here's what I got. I still only got the one camera. I'm working on that. I have bought some stuff. Like, for example, I got me highlighters. These are going to be very useful here in a minute. I'll talk about that in a second. But I've bought some stuff to help me streamline and do some cable management. I got this right here. This is a USB-A into 3 USB-As. These are actually the 3.0s. You can tell by the blue. And I have 2 of these. So my laptop, which is not currently being used, is going to be able to go from 1 to 6, or from 2 to 6, or 1 to 3, however you want to view that. And then I've also got a USB to HDMI port to go to a second monitor. My wife turned me onto this one here. It is super thin. It actually has the ability to hang or stand, and I don't know where it's going to go yet. I know that it connects by USB directly to a power supply, so that's kind of cool. My drink I'm going to kick over if I'm not careful. Okay, so I have been working on several new things. For example, Tuesday I'm going to have new dice come in. So Wednesday I'm thinking about doing my next live stream. This will be the first one for In Search of the Unknown. I have my characters currently done. There is a difference between the characters that I made using my old system and the ones that are in the B1 In Search of the Unknown. Those NPCs they have there are, I won't say the stats are worse, but the amount of money they start with, the gear they start with, is very different. So that's going to be a bit of a weakness. I'm going to jump into more of this stuff and finish out the rest of them, though, by the end of this video. What I want to kind of get into, though, before I jump into that, is my Nemesis system. So I've come up with a Nemesis system. I need my phone for this, because really at this point in time it's like jotted down notes. I've kind of been doing stuff like this in the first campaign, and I had some notes and I got it typed out, and this is sort of my revision to that system. I'm referring to it as like a Nemesis system for now. It's like fantasy game for D&D, right? It's just a placeholder. I don't know what it's going to be called, but I'm going to be doing a short talking about it once I've implemented it, and then I'm going to be doing a long form where I break down the parts with maybe a little bit more thought than what I'm going to do live right now in the moment type of thing. And good day there, Mobius. Glad to see you're able to make it. That's awesome. I do have my chat up to my right, so if there's anyone viewing, they're able to talk to me and I will respond back to them. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I think part of the reason why, though, people are joining this is not just the finalizing the prep of B1, but to see sort of what I'm thinking about with this Nemesis. So here's the basic thought. If you've read any of the old material, you know that the dungeon is considered to be sort of a living organism, has its own personality. They never went to the point of saying that this is like under the domain of a being of power, but that's kind of like the thought I have in it, that there's a controlling force, an influence, a cosmic power, shall we say, that directs the dungeon chaotically. So anyone who's chaotic or evil probably is going to receive positive benefits, and anyone who is lawful good or, just, like, I guess even lawful evil to a degree, but that's kind of like a neutral. It's like a push. Is going to receive benefits or like negatives, but like benefits from their god, but negatives because of that. And the more times bless is cast not to purify a person, the more times that curse is not been meant to target a person, probably the stronger the dungeon gets or the weaker it gets, if that makes sense. And eventually it just becomes an underground inhabited or inhabitable place, not a dungeon. So I'm not doing that system right now, but the small section of this that I'm thinking about with the Nemesis works kind of like this. Anytime you have monsters that flee, that run away, so that could be you're kicking the snot out of a bunch of goblins, 2 of the goblins runs away, okay? You run into, like in the first campaign, we had 2 orcs see the party as they were trapped in the room with the statue that rotated, and all the doors were locked from the inside with wizard lock, and they were basically unable to get out and were trapped. Those 2 orcs, when they left, could be upset that they ran into adventurers. Now, they had an encounter. You might become their target, but the reality is if that's the only thing, it should be very small that could be a nemesis, or even a lower degree, a sworn enemy. So here's how that works in with my system. I'm going to use the reaction dice. So that's 2d6. I probably should pull up what those percents are. One second, since I am going to be talking about that a lot. Let me go here. Okay, the probabilities of 2d6. Okay, so if you're looking for a 2 or a 12, you have the same probability. According to the website I'm at, it's 2.7%, and that sounds right. So you have a 2.7% chance of rolling a 2, just like you have a 2.7 chance of rolling a 12. So boxcars and, snake eyes are very rare. 3 is slightly more. It goes all the way up until you get the 6 and 7 and 8, and that's where you're going to have the greatest. So a 6 and an 8 are in the middle, one off of the highest at 13.88. 7 is dead middle, and that is 16.66. Okay, so in my system, if you look, or not my system, but if you look at the reaction monster chart, you have a 2, you have a 3, 2, 5, you have, where is it here? You have a 3 to 5, a 6 to 8, a 9 to 11, and a 12. So a 12 and a 2 are the same at 2.7%. A 3 to 5, which is the same as a 9 to 11, are both the same. I'm going to have to do some math here real quick. That is 12.88, and then, so that is 20. Well, I'll go ahead and leave the 1% off. So, That is 23.99% chance of rolling between a 9 and 11 and a 3 and a 5. So you take that 2.7 and that 23.99, and you get just over, as close as basically anyone can possibly get, of a 25% chance that any encounter you run into is going to be a negative encounter with lasting effects. Lasting effects would be the 23% would be a Nemesis, and a 2.77% is the unspoken sworn enemy. And we're going to talk about the progression of sworn enemies from Nemesis and what sworn enemies can become, a sworn party, and then a sworn warband, and then so on and so on. But again, I feel like that's more of a later video type of thing. But there are positive and then there are negative modifiers to further make it better. So just for being a brand new party, have never entered the dungeon, your first time going in, you get +1. That means it's impossible to get a sworn enemy. The worst you can do is if you roll a 2, 3, or 4, which with a +1 takes you to that 3, 4, 5. That makes a Nemesis. Okay, but you have a much higher chance of getting a 12, and the 12, it would be, in that situation, would be 5.5 plus 2.77. So that's essentially like 8% chance that you're going to have the latter half of that. So positive numbers are good, negative numbers are bad. If you kill a major figure inside of the dungeon or a leader of the dungeon, you're going to get -1. That's a cumulative. So for every one of those you kill on that level, that's going to be a negative. You've removed things from the dungeon that the dungeon and its inhabitants would find value in. You've explored 25%, that's a -1. You've explored 75%, you take away the 25% and you have a -2. Okay, so you kill 3 bosses, 3 leaders, and you've explored 75% of the dungeon. You're at -5 when that dice, meaning that get a 2, you just need to roll a 7, which we know is right there in the middle, just above the middle, when you take all the percents below it, and that's the problem. And that's where you run into having a greater chance of having Nemesis or sworn enemies. One second. So, what other bonuses are there? These are going to seem a little bit unusual. Well, first of all, there's one more negative. There is a result later that the enemy will talk about you with other enemies. When you have 3 of those, you get an additional -1, and that's also a cumulative. So basically, you're becoming well known. Now, this also, that one actually affects your monster encounter. Their reaction to whether they want to fight you is going to be affected by that roll as well. So it's kind of making this immediately more complicated, but really it's not that bad. You just gotta remember the numbers and have a little flow chart type of thing. Okay, positives. You have gone out, or people in your party have gone out and told 10 people about the treasures you found inside this dungeon. Now, that might seem confusing and weird, but imagine if you were a being of power and the dungeon was your haven, your opportunity, your place for chaotic things to happen. And what draws adventurers in other than loot? So more adventurers hearing about loot there draws more adventurers in, which then potentially puts more treasure in the dungeon than it was before. If your party has an evil or a chaotic party member, that's +1 per person. So if you have an evil chaotic or a chaotic evil, that's +2 by itself, and that's how you can get pluses. So sometimes taking a a chaotic evil torchbearer may or may not be so bad, just because it helps raise or eliminate that chance of creating a nemesis or a sworn enemy. Now, sometimes the negatives get overwhelming. I talked about it before, killing 5 bosses and or 5 leaders, and then exploring the dungeon and having 3 or more of those tell on you about other things. Now you're at neg 8 or something like that, right? That's huge. You need to start finding a way to permanently remove those negatives. Well, the way you can reset or remove or clean a negative off you is to step away from the dungeon for a month and don't go back. Doing that will allow you to remove one of those negatives permanently, and you'll be at neg 7, and then 8 months later you'll be at neg 0, and whatever bonuses, you still have those bonuses. Okay, so what do those bonuses take you to? Well, if you roll above a 12 or a 12, the offending party, the one that is running away from you, the one that might become a nemesis, is found dead. That means that they're no longer an issue and that the problem's resolved. So you don't have to worry about that one anymore. If you get between 9 and 11, that's the top end of that middle bracket, I guess you could say, they will never be seen again. And there is potentially a way that they might come back into your life. Maybe when they leave, their parting gift is they talk about you, and that's one of the 3 that has given you a negative you have to find a way to remove. Maybe worse than that, in some ways, when they leave with some of the things you have. Maybe, for example, they have killed a party member and they have his family heirloom or heraldry. They're gone and you'll never see them again. So that's not as good, but still is better than neutral. They're not going to be rolling in the future to become a nemesis, at least they themselves by themselves. Just want to make sure no one else is watching or that no one else has said anything. 6 to 8 is they tell others about you. So I talked about the potential of enemies talking about you, and then when you get 3 of those, then they will go ahead and give you a neg 1 that's permanent on your thing until you spend that month to basically purify that negative 1 off. Now, on a person who is leaving, on a 4, 5, or 6, they talk about you. So that's what that is. It's just real simple, real easy, real clean. Okay, so 3 to 5, you've created yourself a nemesis. A nemesis becomes an NPC character. Usually it's a specific one. If it's a group of them, they'll usually reduce into one nemesis and an ally. So one of them will become the nemesis, the other one will become an ally, and you have a single focal target that you will recognize potentially and that they will recognize you. If you run into the ally is not going to remember you. It just basically means they start with an ally that they can run around with. So in the example of the 2 orcs that saw the party and were like, nope, if they were to roll on the nemesis chart and become a nemesis, one would become a nemesis, the other one would remain a generic orc ally. And as they go, they can get more allies. We'll talk about that in just 1 second too. All right, 2 is sworn enemy. Sworn enemy gains hatred, which means depending on the edition you're going to roll, they're either going to attack you immediately, they'll have advantage on the attack roll, or they have to roll twice to see if they're going to run away from you type of thing for like morale checks. Basically the way I'm playing it is they have to attack automatically, and that's it. There's not a whole lot to it. In another edition of the game where maybe life and death wasn't such a thin line that you could be on both sides at the same time type of thing, or so clear, I guess you could say. I would have more play in there. But I feel like Blue Homes is going to be just like Homes Edition, and there's not a lot of room for play in that. There is a potential they will actually seek you outside of the dungeon. So, if you are trying to take a month off, they might come to the town you're in. If you decide to go to a different dungeon, they might catch wind of it and, like a stalker, go to that dungeon and try and find you there, or ruin things there by spreading rumors and talking about you in a negative way. Once again, that would be a way for bad guys to learn about who you, what you are as a thing. I'm going to minimize something real quick here. I don't need this thing up. And so that's a potential. Now, to be clear, Nemesis won't follow you. Sworn enemies will. When you get 3 sworn enemies, they convert, much like the Nemesis thing. They'll convert into a sworn enemy. Now, there is a potential of like a power up in this process. I would say on a 4, 5, or 6, they don't go and become a nemesis. They don't go and become an ally that is a part of this sworn enemy. They become a party of sworn enemies of 2 or more, and then like if you had all 3 roll 4, 5, or 6 on both, you'd have 3 sworn enemies that are working as a group, an ally group called a sworn enemy party. And when that party gets so big, or if you have 3 sworn enemy parties, it becomes a sworn army warband. And again, you're going to pick one, and that will be like a leader in this warband, and then the others will become an ally. So they'll become members of that warband. So let's say you have a warband of 3 sworn enemies and 5 orcs, and then you have a swarm enemy that has 2 goblins that are sworn enemies making it a party, and then they have 10 goblin allies, right? And then you have we'll say goblins again, but this one is just, it's a brand new formed one. They has 1 goblin that's a sworn enemy, or 3 goblins become sworn enemies. They have no allies. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, when it becomes all one big group, I'm trying to do this from memory. You have an orc that's their sworn enemy, and you have 2 goblin leaders. The 2 sworn enemies in the third group become allies, so they become regular goblins. The extra leader and the 5 goblins all become allies. So now you have 2 goblin leaders, and you have, what is that, 7, no, that's not right. You have, because you had 6, 5 plus 1, so it does become 8. You have 8 goblins, and then you have the orc with all those other orcs that then become allies. So you have a warband of orcs and goblins with 2 leaders that are goblin, and 1 goblin and 1 orc that is the leader. He'll probably be the supreme leader because he's the most powerful, and then all the other creatures in that group will become basically allies, just regular orcs and goblins. Okay, so what happens if they run into the party and then they get away for some reason? They survive the battle. Maybe they become a captive, maybe they flee, maybe they kill someone and the rest of the party is not there, right? Well, there's benefits. And killing a PC in the combat, whether it's themselves or someone else who gets the kill, is a huge defining factor. I'm going to roll a d6 for any surviving nemesis or sworn enemy that gets away. And basically it works like this. They get a d6 XP plus the number of PCs. And for every PC that is killed, they get 1,000 XP. Okay, so, and that might have a little bit of a scaling factor for like higher levels, But for right now, that's what it is. And I know that NPC bad guys don't have levels, but they don't have Nemesis programs either. So I think this is going to be something towards that, and they'll probably work off of either the fighter or the thief or the cleric or the magic user for XP. Couple fights in, maybe the caster knows an extra spell is all I'm saying. That could be pretty terrifying. Not really a whole lot to track, because how often is this going to happen? Probably not very often. Going on, better gear. This is going to be a more likely something you notice. So you fight him, they're wearing leather. He comes back, he's now wearing chainmail, or she, and then he comes back again, rolled the same thing. Now they're wearing plate mail. It's not magical, it's just better gear. If they roll a 3, their allies grow by a D3 or a D6 if a PC dies. So if they kill one of the PCs, instead of them growing by a D3, they grow by a D6. Okay. Basically, they become better known, shall we say. If they roll a 4, they gain a usable magic item that has has a numbering count to it. So low end of that would be like a potion or a scroll, something that does something minor. On the high end of that, if you were to roll, you're looking at like maybe a wand with like half the charges it normally would. It's got enough to last for a little bit, but it's not a permanent item. If the PC dies, they get the permanent item. They get the wand with regular charges type of thing, potentially. If they roll a 5 on that D6, the enemy, the Nemesis, becomes aware of something about the PCs that the PCs would not want them to know. Maybe it's part of their backstory or their hometown. Maybe it's the fact that they have a ward or something like that, or where they stay at the hotel, at the inn, or that type of thing, or maybe where they got loot buried. Something of that somehow becomes known. Okay. If they roll a 6, they don't get an ally that travels with them, but they become allies of a group within this area. So if this orc and goblin warband rolls this, and there's a group of gnolls and they've been fighting for years, well, now the gnolls and the orcs and the goblins stop fighting for a period of time while they're trying to take out this party. They don't necessarily gain gnoll allies that join them, but they're no longer at war. The gnolls will alert the goblins to the party's presence, for example, for maybe pay or something of that nature. Okay, I've talked about that. Okay, so sworn enemy becomes a sworn party. When they become a party, they get some sort of hideout. They get some sort of attaboy type of thing. Maybe it's their own location within a dungeon, that type of thing. Just basic idea. Warband, which is the next tier up, you get 3 sworn parties, becomes a sworn enemy warband. Well, now maybe you're looking at support staff, maybe you're looking at a larger area, maybe the entire level of a dungeon. If it's a one-room or a one-floor dungeon, maybe they just take over the dungeon and now you're fighting them all the time. And essentially that's how that works. That's kind of like the Nemesis program that I'm kind of thinking of right now. Let me know, I guess, Mobius, what you think, or if anyone else is watching later, let me know in the comments what you think. I'm going to be doing another video where I talk about this in more detail, and kind of have everything laid out and maybe some way for like this to be picked up like for free, you know, like email it to you or something like that, or maybe, I don't know, we'll figure it out. I haven't worked out that side of thing. I just know that that's a thing I need to get more into. A lot of people do stuff like that. Okay, so let me go ahead and get, I've got the starting of my Dungeon Master screen. So I went into the repository and I found a bunch of sheets. And basically, I don't know, I can't get to it, but they're called project boards. You can get them at any box store or a lot of box stores. And they're like a 3-panel, like foam core board, you know? And essentially, you can cut them down to the height of a paper plus a little bit, and you can put that in front of you and then literally tape or glue this to the inside, and you will have the statistics you need in a pretty decent layout. I did that with the homes, I did that with the original Dungeons and Dragons, and I just kind of have a bunch of those running around. Like a DM screen. I got one right over here for 3.5 actually. I don't know why I'm breaking this out right now. We're not playing 3.5. I have the third book as well, but I have the collector's edition of 3.5 or 3. I guess it's 3.5. And then I have a 3.5 DM screen, which this one's a 4-panel. So, same general principle. I use this for literally years. That was my copy from when it came out in 2000. So, and I played 3.5 all the way up into 2014 when I gave 5e a shot for a short period of time. Okay, so how am I resolving the fact that all these character sheets kind of look a little bit the same and they're all just really monochrome, black and white? Well, I came up with a highlighter system. So pink is for fighters. So I do have a fighter, I think. I have a cleric thief, and I have a cleric. So no, I don't have a fighter. Indo is a thief. Rolinda is a magic user, and Oddberg is a cleric. So the two new characters are clerics. One's a cleric thief named Evangelist. The other one is named Awald Steel. And I don't need this right this second, but I will get into it in a second. Green is for cleric. So I'll go over here to where we have the cleric record. And I'll go ahead and just highlight that green. Then I'll come over here to where all the stats are that are important, like, for example, AC, hit points, and then I'll come over to stats, and I'll just kind of highlight it. Oh, we got the turn undead. I need to get my turn undead rules for that. I don't think this has that. Let me go up to my thing. Pretty sure it's going to be in the cleric section. Okay, yes. So this is for Awald Steel. He's going to have, this is for the hit dice. So he needs a 7. He needs a 9, 11, and then everything else is beyond his ability. His, right? Yes, he is a male. And I'll go ahead and just highlight that like that. If he had a spell, I would go ahead and do that, but since he is first level, that means he does not have spells, so I do not need to do that. Evangelists will have the same treatment. Thieves and clerics are the same progression for to hit, for save throws. Oh, I need to do save throws. And that type of thing. But they use the thief's leather. I'm going to assume that they can use a shield. They just can't do thief things while using the shield. So the AC will still be reflective of that. So AC is a 7 and it's a 6 with a shield. So because of that, I'm going to go ahead and use green again because the cleric is the same. I'm going to put that down here as like that, and I'm going to find his class and highlight that in green. Then we'll come over here and do the stats like I did. Do the to hit. The save throw, which is in a different place. And this is why I'm doing it, because the difference between this and this are very similar, but they're just enough wrong that it'd be hard to see. And I'll go ahead and write in here. Turn undead. And I'm going to put a 7, comma, a 9, comma, 11, comma, and a straight dash. So I know what that means. I also have a clean sticky note for any things they might find. Oh, also, very important, I have just put a number 1 on there. You'll see why that is important in just a second. If you remember the first campaign, they had different numbers. And I'm going to put a number 2 on Evangelist. So Evangelist is number 2, and then you have AWOLD Steel is going to be a number 1. Okay. So if Indo Banks has written down here just above that, Indo is from the first campaign and was number 17. So in the future, when I do this again, Evangelist, if he is still alive, will be from campaign 2 and will be number 2. So Indo is a thief. Thieves get yellow. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to highlight the part that says thief. So I know. I'm going to come over here and get breath weapons and all the saves, the stats. And come over here and get the hit. And thief skills. Okay. And now you can see why I have to do it this way, because these different systems are wildly different. So it's just going to make it that much easier for me to be able to see this. Now, the Ronilda is a magic user, and that's orange. Orange for magic users. There's 4 classes, so they get the same treatment. Oh, I need to do the AC. Not that I'm going to be confused by that with my thief. I'm going to mark it. It says 9 right now because when he was rolled, he didn't actually start with loot or money a whole lot, so he didn't have a lot. But he's going to have leather from the first campaign to the second campaign. He'll get that eventually. That's going to be when I do the Castle Tiller. Speaking of the Castle Tiller video, I'm thinking that's going to be the next video I do. I just kind of, well, it's a bonus video. I'm not 100% sure, but it needs to happen. Oh, I need to also highlight their movement. So they need that. I'm not going to highlight spells, though I probably could, just because it's a temporary thing. So you can see here how things are just a little bit different. Ronilda was from Campaign 1 and was the 12th NPC to join the party. And not to be completely outdone, we're going to go with 1 of 1. So Oddberg was the number 1 NPC to be rolled and to be added to the party, and he is still alive. So Oddbird is a cleric. He's pretty close, less than 700 away from being 3rd level. So I'm going to highlight over the hit points because that's important. I'll get all the ones I haven't done. I'll get caught up in all that stuff at some point. But here's Oddberg. Okay, so I have come up with a way to quickly recognize that. Hey Steven, how you doing today? And part of the reason why I've done that is because the list we made last time we had this live stream, it's hard to know whether this fighting mage was from the fighter side or from the mage side. And so I'm going to go ahead and use highlighters to pre-highlight all these things so that I know which one they come from. The fighter and the cleric is super easy, but I just want to go ahead and do that. Give me 1 second. I gotta go do something, and then I'll be right back. And I'm back. Sorry about that. I've been painting a lot of miniatures here this last weekend, and I've got a lot of stuff done and primed up. I've got the last of my wandering monster potentials that I don't have painted. So everything I have should be painted moving in this campaign. One of the next things I'm trying to do is to there's 48 different characters. I want to get 48 PCs miniatures, and I'm going to put them over here, like here or something, and I'm going to put like them in order. And the goal is to be able to just reach over, grab it, and go so we can speed up the whole live stream process. Let me show you some of the cool ones I got mostly done. I only got 2 different types here, but I got 10 of them. 10 of these and 5 of these. So when I say I have these, just know I have 5 bats. 5 of these giant bats. I'm going to see if I can get this without the light killing it. Maybe if I hold it back. No, you really cannot see it. Okay. You guys, that's about the best. Anyways, it's a flying bat. It's a little resin flying bat. And then here is the big one. This is a Sturge. So I've been buying these Sturge models. I'm going to do a community post later this week These things look really cool. The lighting is just not there. It'd be a lot of work to turn on a light. I'm not going to do that. But essentially, they switch between a red ink dye to a purple ink dye. They have a dark brown wash over it. Their beak was painted black and then dry brushed red, and their stinger was painted white, then yellow, and then I went over it with an orange to fade it, and then fade it into the purple, and then I went over that with all a brown wash. So they look really good. When I get the full light on them, you'll see what I'm talking about. If I haven't said it, I got more dice like this coming. I've got a blue set, so I will be able to have distinguished rolls, and I have my little dice cube right here, and it will be a place I can roll dice, and I'll have one of my cameras set to that and all my notes, and then we'll have my play area, and I'll have a camera on me. So you'll be able to see it. And I'm hopefully going to have my laptop being able to do 3 cameras with the new attachments I got. That's the plan. So I won't be live streaming on this computer. I'll be live streaming on that on the laptop, which is right here in front of me. Yeah. Okay. So just going to go ahead and through this real quick. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you missed about the Nemesis and you have questions, we got more viewers now. Please feel free to ask, and I will talk about that. I'm just going to go through this real quick, highlight them, and number them in pencil for now. And then when they get selected, I'll erase that pencil number, and I will go ahead and write their number in ink. So I just really kind of need to do one section, which is the cleric part. I'm not going to spend forever like I did the PCs. Once they get selected in between the live streams, I'll go through, or maybe later today, I'll go through these again, and I'll go ahead and just, I will hit all the areas. Though I don't think I need to unless I'm actually using them. And this will go into 2 different piles as they go. So pile 1, like let's say I do B1 and I'm done playing it and I'm never going to use those characters again, or I'm not running B1 again. Those characters, instead of just being thrown away, could become NPCs in my world. And when you go to the baker, maybe the baker stopped his life of adventure and became that person. And I kind of see that as like a fun acknowledgement of that. And then if I ever run B1 again, and maybe they get selected this time, then if they die, you lose the baker. But I'm not trying to do that straight off the bat. That'd be something maybe if I just grew into it, it'd be fun to do. All right, so I got my clerics done as far as that goes. Now I got a thought, and I don't know the answer to this, so I need to look. But I'm not sure we got through all the clerics. I don't think I have 12 clerics. So I'm going to go ahead and number that real quick. Oh, come on. I put this paperclip on there, and it's causing me a little bit of hassle. Yeah, but I thought I had a couple pages stuck. I do have, I have a mess is what I have. So that's number 4. That number 4 can be erased. And here's number 5. And 6. 7. Yeah, I didn't think I gone through all my clerics. I think I got like 7 or 8. Let me find my sheet. Oh, and the other book I have that I'm going to be doing stuff with is the Book of Dead. Now, the Book of Dead's not very impressive right now. It's a dusty, old 4-inch binder. Because, let's be honest, we're playing Homes and Blue Homes Edition. There's going to be a lot of dead. I've got a little sheet here. Talk about the lives and the deaths of the NPCs. That will go in there, and I'll write in there like a ledger when an NPC dies. Okay, here we go. And that will be basically how things are essentially tracked. We need these later. Don't need that. I had one that had people marked off already. Maybe I just need to do that in this one. Okay, let me put this here. Put that there. Maybe move my characters. Wait, I need more things. And I have these little red binders down here. I'm going to be utilizing them in, when I get the characters done and everything, and storing them right there, but I just haven't got everything set up the way I want yet. So we have Farned the Great Urchin. He is number 1. I'm going to turn that over right here. Then we have Dolran, the servant of St. Cuthbert, I believe, or Carmichael. That's number 2. The mystical one, yep, that's it right there. That's number 3. Then we have Mulgar the Merciful, who is number 4. The number 5 is Seaful the Unforgiving. And this, I did this last game session where we gave them the alignment and all that type of stuff. Then we have Filgo. Nope. Missing one. No, I marked it off yet. Filgo is number 6. So I say I had a mess because pages were sticking together. He is a human. And then we have Tacit, servant of St. Cuthbert. That is number 7. And then number 8, which is what I remember, is going to be Wilbred the Silent. All right. So we have a need to get the last 4 done. I'm going to turn those over just like that. I'm going to grab 4 more cleric character sheets, and we will just knock that out real quick. Again, I'll go through and highlight, and I'm probably going to do a little bit with gear because the game gives them no gear and gives them horrible starting gear. So I probably won't do super heavy starting gear, but things like backpacks, rations, the essential starting gear that a person would need to be able to be functional in this world, they probably need. All right. So number 9 is Cracky the Hooded One. Can't make a name up like that. And Cracky is human, of course, because we are dealing with early D&D. Level 1. Cracky has a 8-string. Now, you know, what's funny is this is wrote so old that the word crikey hasn't even been invented yet. So that's kind of like, that's funny. Intelligence is a 14. Wisdom is a 16. Constitution is an 8. Dexterity is an 8 and a 12 charisma. Not going to worry about the rest of this, but I am going to roll a d6 for armor class and for weapons. So here's the fun thing. When I get my second color d6, I'll have a blue and a purple. I'll just roll them both together and you can see them at the same time. Here's for armament. Rolled a 3. A 3 is a quarterstaff. And then I rolled again. That's a 6. That is a chainmail and a shield. I've also thought about this too. One of the things the party is going to be able to offer people is the ability, if they have enough time, to get a suit of armor made for them. So session 1, when they have met him and there's no week off, they wear the gear they start with. But they can go down, get measured up for either plate mail or chain, and then the party will front that money. And then when they come back out and they spend a week off, then I'm going to give them a 4, 5, or 6. They'll have it made. And then if they don't have it made, then they have to go a second week. And if they go a second week and they survive and whatever they're given, then they'll be fine. And they'll go ahead and get the new plate mail or chain mail and whatever. But if it's like a shield, basically anyone without a shield is going to be given a shield because there's no way in the world we're doing this without shields. Okay, so this is number 9. And a green highlighter. Where's my green highlighter? Here it is. Also, the big point where this is different is in this version of Dungeons & Dragons, homes, technically, they have dwarf and halfling thieves and elf thieves, and there are not such things in BLUEHOLME. Also, they have the ability for a thief fighter or a thief magic user in Homes Edition, but they don't have that ability in Homes, of course, because they can only be a fighter magic user in this version. So I'm kind of got a few things we have to stretch that don't fully fit. And I've chose to go a couple ways. This is Gampal, the secret church of the secret church. Why would you have that as your name? I don't know. Let's see what it said here. Yeah, it's original, right? So, it's a bit of a different thing for sure. Okay. So, Crocky has gone. And we have Grandpa. So, Grandpa has a 12 strength, an 11 intelligence, a 12 wisdom, 10 constitution, a 9 dexterity, and a 10 charisma. Oh, thanks for joining me. It's nice to meet you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, if I haven't seen this already, B1 came with a bunch of pre-made NPCs that you could use, and they come with their own gear, which is rolled random. They have their spells, which are done separately. And I'm kind of incorporating that into like backup henchmen and into the follower, or not followers, but hirelings, henchmen, and future NPCs that might be joining the party as PCs. I have bought a pack of NPC like torchbearers. This one's got a bow. This one here has a sword on his side, I think. Yes. So I got little torchbearers, and I got one guard. Ronilda's going to get a guard, the magic user. I have others. I have two others. One is a porter, and the other one is a also a guard. He looks more like a leader. These are them. I'll have pictures of them when they're fully done. They're actually just 3D printed, real lightweight stuff. I may actually get more because I really liked them when they were a decent price and they got to me in a decent amount of time. But they're going to be selected through this. So when I start the game, I'm going to be rolling 3 dice, and then literally they're going to be moved from wherever they are, and then they'll become the torchbearer or the guard. So hopefully the guard is not a magic user, right? And that type of thing. And then we'll go ahead and have those people basically joining the party straight from here with the gear they have. So that's going to be an example of where that could be. Other examples are going to be when we have to do replacements. Oops. All right. This is number 10. I need to highlight it. Perfect. Go ahead and put this here. Cross it off. We don't have that many. Some of the lists were able to complete themselves. I think like Thieves only had one because there was like 2 elves, and I was able to use like a fighter magic user type of thing or whatever. I forget which one it was. I know magic user only has one that has to be done. I think fighter had enough to complete. I actually had 12 fighter character sheets. I printed more of those just because I expected that I would need more. This one is named Nepo, Servant of the Bringer. I like that name, actually. It's really cool. I'm hoping that if any of you use these guys back in the back when this came out, that they might bring back memories and whatnot. So I really don't have a favorite system of solo. I don't do a tremendous amount of it. I just have a lot of confidence, or maybe arrogance, I don't know, to try it live. I did the first campaign and it worked really well, but I'll tell you, technically the first campaign was the second. The first campaign I did was original Dungeons and Dragons. And I went really deep into that. I went into exploration, like searching the land. I had explorers, and that was really interesting and fun. I might go back and continue that at some point in time in the future. I just haven't for a while. I had some things in life come up and it brought the campaign to an end, but I have all those things and it's set in a world that's already there. So I've thought about going back to it. With the Towers and Opus, campaign 1, I did that in Homes Edition. And I like Homes Edition because it's simple, but boy, is a brutal environment. I'm wanting to see if the few optional differences, like optional weapon speed being that light weapons can attack twice, heavy weapons attack every other turn, and normal weapons attack once a turn, influence the damage more. Instead of everything being a D6, light weapons do a D4, normal do a D6, and then heavies do a D10. And then there are other things to incorporate with that, like if you're attacking and then moving away, or using range combat. A heavy crossbow becomes way more worth it than a bow because it does more damage on that first shot, and then you put it away, don't worry about reloading it, and jump into melee. There are tactical and that. So when I did my original Dungeons and Dragons, I used man-to-man combat and fantasy combat and mass combat. So I was using 2d6 with that. I have like 17 videos up on that. They weren't live streamed though. The campaign 1 was live streamed completely. I had some technical errors and I had to use my backup recording as the live stream because my internet was failing. But it was done live. But the campaign with original Dungeons & Dragons was not shot live, and it was that 2d6 system. I like that 2d6 system personally. I think it's really good. But I have other systems that I'm going to be moving into at some point in time, solo and with groups. I'll show you some of that in a second. For example, I don't know if it'd be easier to grab the box or to get the print on demand. I think I'm just going to tell you I have it and you have to believe me. Over here I have my B and X for 1981 BX Dungeons & Dragons, and I have a print on demand playing copy beyond the one I want to have for like collection stuff. But I also have Into the Odd, which is what they call an NRS for new, or NSR, New School, not Renaissance, but Revolution or Restoration or something like that. I forget what the R is for. And then I have White Box. And I have another one. And you know what? Since we have 3 people watching right now, and you guys won't tell anyone, right? Let me show you a big purchase I made here. So I hinted at this. I'll show you a couple big purchases. Here's the teaser. I bought this like 700-page book, Dying Earth by Jack Vance. I have listened to the audiobooks. I've read this to a pretty good amount. I'm basically on the 4th book. And then I will have completed all 4 books for Dying Earth and Jack Vance. That has taken me down the rabbit hole of potentially going this direction at some point in time with Dungeon Crawl Classics. And I've looked at that because I want to play Dying Earth in Dungeon Crawl Classics. Whether I do it on stream, whether I do it like just for me on the side for fun, I don't know. But it looked pretty fun. I bought several other things that some of the party has seen already, or some of the group have already seen. I've got Hyboria, that book I've talked about. So when Professor Dungeon Master had that big push for, what do you call it, the cancer stuff, and you could buy for like $40 some. I think it still might be going on. You could buy all of the DCC content by that, and if you paid the extra $10, they sent you 4 modules at random. I got the 4 modules at random, and it's actually 106 PDFs for Dungeon Crawl Classics. That is a lot of PDFs. So I have a lot. But of the 7 books I read last year, 3 of them were Dying Earth. This year, I started off with 3, all from the same Paul Anderson. This is the big one that I need to read because it talks about this is the one where they drew alignment from. But I got these other 2 because it was a get 3 for the price of 1, and it was like $7. So I got my 3 books for Paul Anderson. I even bought the dice set for the DCC because they have their own dice. They're silly. I don't know what to think about that. But another thing I was looking at, and it kind of, it's all over the place, right? My mind. Is I was looking at the Fritz Leiber Farhard and the Grey Mouser series, and I got kind of into a rabbit hole last night, and I haven't bought anything yet, but I saw that DCC and AD&D First Edition has Linkmar, and Linkmar is the city where this story is told. And I thought that'd be kind of fun. And maybe sometime in the future, that's a direction I go. And if you look back here, I have now added some more books. I have completed my hardbacks for AD&D First Edition. So I have all the Orange Spine. I have the Fiend Folio. I have Deities and Demigods. This is the 144 page. That's with the copyrighted pantheons they got rid of. I got the original Dungeon Master Guide. I have the original Players. And I got the original Monster Manual. I finally completed my hardbacks for AD&D First Edition. So that's coming before probably other things. I just have lots of things I want to do. I'm playing BX with my daughter, so that's why I bought the print-on-demand BX version. You're obsessing, or you're obsessed with the free league games, especially the Dragon Bane and Forbidden Lands. Thank you for the comment in the collections. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's because I'm stuck in my hole and I just haven't had a chance to look around at it. I've heard something about the free league games, but I don't know what that is. You're talking about like the Venture League stuff? Is that what you're talking about? I'm going to write Nupo, the servant of the bringer. on here real quick while we're talking, while you're commenting. All right, has a 10 strength, 7 intelligence, 15 wisdom. Oh, I love this con. This one, I love this con. He's got a 17 con. I love a character with a good constitution, mostly because it's so easy to die. And I just think how much better that's going to be later when they get higher level. So Nupo will be a favorite of mine, I think, just because I don't know if I rolled for gear in the last couple. I did not on the last one. I'll fix that real quick. So I got to roll for gear on Nupo and for Grandpa. Here's for Grandpa. A 3 is a quarterstaff. Get my sheet over here. They're full-blown games. Okay, so the Borg systems, I should say, are I know to be very solo friendly, and I have the PDFs for was it the Space Borg for like a Spelljammer type of thing, and then I have four torches and Knave, and I have another one of those solo, but I just haven't had a chance to play them, and I don't have the physical copy. I was just talking about the physical copies of stuff I have around me. But they do, yeah, so I've heard of some of that. Dragonbane, Forbidden Lands, and Symborium. Okay. There are so, there's so many new games coming out, and solo is a big way people are going. There was a sort of like a taboo-ness of, like, I think with people that played games and didn't have other people they played with. And I can understand that to a degree. I don't fully agree with it. I think you have to be careful, and you do need to interact with other people. Here's for the armor. That's a 6. Very nice. Chainmail and shield. But, some of the funnest games I had were what they call these days duet play. And that's where you and one other person are playing. It's how I started. I started in 1989. I haven't talked about this in the live stream, but I have talked about this in videos in the past. But I had a friend of mine. I'll just go by his first name. His name was David. And David wanted me to play Dungeons & Dragons in 1989 in the middle of the St. Tank Pank. Now, for those who were alive back then or playing games back then, you know that for sure back then you really didn't talk about your love of the dice and that type of thing, and what game you're going to go play on Saturday night type of thing. And that was just, unfortunately, the world we lived in back then. Now I'm back on a Nupo. And he got me into a game that he said was not Dungeons and Dragons. Certainly was not that, because he knew my mom and dad would not allow it. And it was called Paladin versus Doom Knight. I don't know what video game he pulled it from, but if I was to guess, it was some sort of like Ogre Tactics type of game, where you start here and you're going through and you're picking up allies. Your interactions with the NPCs would allow you to gain people or to get them to at least ally or provide you with something so that you had something moving forward. And then you were running, and this, he said, ended up being my brother, who was an anti-paladin. I can't remember the names of these guys, but you were trying to do this big battle. I remember about the third or fourth game session, I caught him reading the Dungeon Master's Guide, the DMG for AD&D Second Edition. I was like, "What is this?" He's like, "This is the game we've been playing. See, it's not evil." And he felt so proud of himself talking about that. So yeah, that was a thing. That was how I got into it. I was 13 when I got into D&D, and I did not know how much I would love something until I got into D&D, and we became rabid about playing. And we got my other friend, who I'll refer to as Bixler, and Bixler was a dwarf, real life dwarf. He's 4'8". When he was in high school, his dad was 4'8". His dad's also a dwarf, and we played, the three of us. Once we got past me and David, we played every weekend for years, and I couldn't tell you any. I found one of the things where they had me trying DM back then, and it's goofy. But I found some of the original drawings I had from back then. Speaking of which, I've been saving these to talk about too. They're not very good. You're not going to be able to see much detail. But I will be doing a community post talking about, if you're not a good painter, just give it time and you'll grow into being a better painter. We'll do this in the order in which I painted. So I had probably 10 or 12 miniatures I painted in high school, because miniatures were not a huge focus. This is the first one I ever painted. I remember this because I had no concept when I was 14 or whatever it was, 15, of like color coordination. So yeah, this is what I did. This was done with tester paints, by the way. Really can't see it for well. But you can see her fuchsia colored robes. I don't know. I don't know why all three of the characters I have are female. But my next one was a drow. This is a lead miniature. And I had no technique for skin. And she is straight black. She is very, very dark. And then for whatever reason, instead of painting this dwarf as a normal dwarf, and it's also a female, I painted her as a Druger. And she is a gray. I didn't go completely black on her. And that was 3 of my first 14 miniatures I ever painted back in the like 91 or 92 maybe. Okay, this is Ego, EGGO, the Holy Brotherhood, of the Holy Brotherhood. Let me write this a little better. I like the name. I like the fact it's just literally Ego. That's kind of fun. I haven't looked at his stats yet. Oh, I also need to see if the new characters I have are male or female. All right, we're gonna roll for male, female. 5 or 6 is female. As a 1, so this will be male. For what weapons? They have a 4, so that's going to be a hammer. And 2 for, they have a leather armor. So that's what I'm talking about. A priest in leather armor. Just gotta survive a session. Maybe 2. We'll get you out of your leather. Now, stats. He has a 7 strength, a 10 intelligence, a 13 wisdom. Ego has terrible stats. 8 constitution, 9 dexterity, and 11 charisma. Man, the ego is well named because a lot of people with ego are confident, they're not competent. Okay, I need to go back through the last couple. I'm going to check fighters next so I can remove that paper completely. But I need to make sure we have male or female on these. Oh, did I just forget to do it in all the clerics? Yeah, I either didn't do it or I didn't write it down. So we're going to roll some d6s real quick for male or female. First one is a male. I talked about this in the last one, about why is it actually percentile-wise harder to be a female than it is to be a male. And I'm trying to get females in there, and if I go through like all this and there's no males, I'm going to turn some of these into females. Because that's just the way the dice rolled. The dice were sexist, not me. But I also want to keep it somewhat realistic. I just not rolling very high. I'm not trying to make like an entire warband female, if that makes sense either. I don't know if that makes sense. You got a female now. So Philgo is going to be Philgoetta. So we're going to add a TTE, Philgoetta. That'll be her name. I think I talked about the fact that I was going to do this like off stream. That's a 2. Maybe. Because I realized I'd missed a bunch of it. 3. And 5. So Cracky will be female. Cracky. I think Cracky could be a female name. And that one's male. So I only have 1, 2. So I'm going to do a 4, 5, or 6, and I'll roll 1 at random. So we do have it. I'm going to roll a d12. Number 7 is also going to be female. At least when I have 3 females. So Tacit, that's a great female name actually. Tacit is going to be female. All right, let me see if we got. So let me make sure I'm knowing how to say your name there. Do you pronounce that Gear or Guller with an I, like Guller? And then, or do you prefer the last name, which is Morabellis? So, Gear Morabellis, maybe? In Spanish, sometimes, if you have Guillen, that wouldn't be pronounced Gulen, that'd be pronounced Guillen. So I'm not sure if that's the direction you're going with it or not. Okay, when I do a solo game, for me it's usually more like board games with the way I play Freedom. I use the Oracle with the yes or no and the answers from tarot cards. Okay, so I don't use tarot cards. That's just a religious belief from me, because sometimes I believe things like uh, the Ouija boards and tarot cards actually, if you had a person with the belief in it, uh, could be bad. So that's just a weird thing with me, I guess. I don't know why, while doing all this solo, I didn't think about this. I have bought this. So I have bought the Mythic system, which is not a game system. It is to help you become better at solo. So I like the idea of treating it more like a board game, and I like the idea of doing Mythic. The big thing about the Mythic system is just having stuff that doesn't keep it the same. So like chaos becomes a factor, and that type of stuff. And I tried to incorporate some of that, but I'm not sponsored by them, and I'm not using their system fully. I'm using some of the elements to kind of guide my own thought process, if that makes sense. But as far as game systems, I don't know. I could really see a 2D6 system being good. I like the bell curveness of a 2D6 system. I think going away from 2D6 into more of a GURPS 3D6 is better because it gives you more of a split on the numbers, like a farther range, not just so close. Because where you run into problems with that is no armor, shield, leather, chainmail. Then you have plate mail, and then you have mounted. Okay, for like original Dungeons and Dragons. Well, technically, somewhere in there you could have banded, you could have hide, you could have split mail, scale mail. And when you start adding those in there, then the numbers become too wonky. And if you kept splint, scale, and banded all the same as chain, and then went into weapon versus armor, not armor class, and then you had modifiers, then that makes more sense because you could just have positive and negative modifiers for blunt, pierce, slash. But now you're getting to such a complicated system, it's not a fun system. It's becoming very simulator-esque. So I've seen things where people talk about light, medium, and heavy, and then you have a plus, and the plus is for the shield. So light plus shield, heavy plus shield, medium plus shield, and then that gives you a smaller range. But the difference between medium and heavy still should be more than one. It should be either 2 or 3 different, or the percents need to be that much different. And as soon as you get into magic items that give bonuses to hit, all the numbers get skewed. So bell curve things don't survive well with like positive and negative modifiers. So one of the things that I've seen is magic weapons go first. They don't get bonuses to hit. They just go before everyone else. They're basically all treated as like weapons of speed. I've seen like heavy weapons go last automatically, talking about like an initiative system. So weapons with like I don't want to get too far, but yeah, you get the general idea. You can really get convoluted when you start introducing war game mechanics and taking things like Hero's Quest and Talisman and that type of thing. You start incorporating those rules, you can really get into something interesting. I think the biggest thing with solo play is you're telling a story that maybe no one else will ever run into. But if they do, can you tell it in a way that is interesting, or that when you play a game, whatever you're doing can be influenced by your solo game? So I keep the deaths of my characters and I write down what happened, because maybe when I run my campaign, And I talk about Orem Bloodfern, my elf that was first level, who almost made second level in my Towers and Opus, died in Towers and Opus to whatever he died to. And I'll have that, and I'll know that, and I'll know that he was such a good character, and it will have not necessarily an emotional impact, but it will have a meaning to that. There was a couple characters like that that hurt more than maybe they should. One second. Not maybe more than they should, just more than others. Two others I can think of right off the top of my head is Logi and Nodok. They were brother and sister. Both of them are dwarves. Both of them are fighters. Logi died in the first fight, basically. We only had fought bandits, and she told Grimwald not, I'm trying to remember back, Grimwald not to attack the prisoners after they've been surrendered because that's not good. Spoiler, Grimwald was evil, so he didn't care about that type of stuff. He was lawful evil, so he wasn't about just wanton destruction, but he didn't want to leave bandits behind to then go inform and tell other people. But he didn't want to fight the party either. So Logi went ahead and said, no, don't do this. And then what happened is, no, it wasn't, excuse me, Grimwald wasn't the one who did that. It was, Grimwald is lawful evil, but it was Allred, what the cleric, the second cleric in the original group of people, who was chaotic evil, and he was the one that tried to attack the bandit, and Logi stopped him. Then in this next room, room A of Towers and Opus, Logi died to goblins, and then brief seconds later, in the same round of combat, essentially, Alt-Red died also to goblins. And the party almost had a TPK in the second major room because they fought the 5 goblins that were there, and then they had 8 goblins add in from a wandering encounter. Now, that's from memory, so if you go back and watch the videos and I'm wrong, just realize I'm trying to do that from memory. But that's why I like solo, because all that is memory and all that is story. So if someone were to run into the story of Nodok and Logi, or maybe the clan of the Bluntaxe clan, which is their last name, they could have the story of those two characters, which then would be dressing or something that could be talked about around the fire. Not text box exposition that we have to spend 10 minutes to listen to. But if a player were to ask, what adventures do you have, or who has hurt you? No. Why do you hate goblins? That would be a great reason. Nodok died 3 sessions later to ghouls, as a matter of fact. He got paralyzed and then was killed by a ghoul. There was only 2 ghouls, but it almost caused a second TPK. Okay, so I'm looking at my fighters. I'm going to number them up here real quick while I do this. And then we will go through and roll, because I don't have male or female roll for this. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight them in pink. And why pink? Because I think it's a little funny that the fighter is in pink. So yeah, that's why I like the solo stuff. I'm happy that there's so much that has gone on with this. I think there's good crossover too. I was talking with a pseudo coworker. We work for different companies that interact a lot with each other. Yes, number 8. And he was talking about the fact that he actually named a character and gave it personality based off of me and who I am and what I do for a living. And I thought that was kind of fun. And I was talking to his wife, and they were telling me about their campaign a little bit. And their campaign sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. Their campaign is a pirate campaign. It's a sea-bound campaign where everyone's playing either like a buccaneer or a privateer or just a straight-up pirate type of thing. And it is definitely a lot of fun. I'm going to go ahead and use the pink, and then I'll do my last. That is not what I want to do. It's funny. Brandon has a pink through his name. So here it's a fighting mage, but this is going to be a fighting mage that is a fighter from the fighter list, as you can see. Because this one is an elf. I did that with Glendor. And this is why I gotta do this, because the fighting record is a hard record to see the fighter section on. I don't actually have a fighter in the starting party in campaign 2. We have 2 full clerics, we have a magic user, and then we have a fighting or a cleric thief. That's what we have. Also, we've been having a lot of people talk about the Journeyman rules. It really seems like that's picking up a lot of steam. I might be checking that out sooner versus later. I did find that there was a hardback on Lulu that you can order, and I don't have any affiliation with Lulu. But I'll get the PDF for easy reference and being able to look at stuff while I'm at work on my phone or whatever when I have downtime, because I do have downtime occasionally. I can't take a full book, but I can take my phone, and that will give me a chance to read over that. And it'd be good to have just one more hardbound book out there. Anyways, so if we do that, I think the campaign I want to run for that, which if we do this, that might be campaign 3, is the Necro of the Neuromon or something like that. I talked about it in my video talking about the product line of Dreamscape with the BLUEHOLME stuff. I think that makes a lot of sense. All right, now we're going to roll some d6s for male or female. 4, so this is a male. Oop. That's a male. 3. I don't know how many of these are actually seen. I just wanted to roll where people could potentially see it until I get the camera set up a little bit better. Male. Another male. So tell me about the Dragonbane box set. What's cool about that? Another male. Male. I swear I've heard about Dragonbane, but I could be thinking video games too. So, the Mohag the Wanderer is a female. Mohag for a female name. Let me chew on that for a second. I had a Hilda. She was one of my favorites too. She died late. her death escapes me. No, she died to kobolds in room N with the crypts, if I remember right. I had 2 characters die in that room, as I remember. But she didn't die in the first session. She died in like episode 6 or 7. After she got the dancing dagger. That weapon went to Ronilda, who was the torchbearer at the time. Another male. Oh, got a female. Lefto, the halfling, is a female. I think Lefto is such a nickname, it just makes sense to leave it female, because it's not, yeah. Male. And one more. Male. Okay. I'm going to do 4, 5, or 6. We have another one. We have another one. We're going to do a D12. Number 8. Let's see if it's not a female already. Number 8 is a female. That is Mohag. Number 6. Cargo. Krago of the Mountain. A dwarf. So maybe instead of Krago, it should be Krega. Krega of the Mountain. Make these words more separated. Oh, this is ink. Well, I'm not erasing ink. But Krega of the Mountain is female. We're going to get into some more fun stuff here. All right. Thief. So all these are thieves. Thieves are yellow. We have a few less people viewing right now, and I think that's okay, because to be completely honest, I don't want the loot to be known by a whole lot of people, and I'm getting ready to do that. Or the wandering monster encounters. We haven't got that. Today's a long day for a video. It's going to be a longer live stream, so we'll have probably a second wave of people that come in. I could have done 2 of the 3 main things I've done. One being the characters, one being the Nemesis. And I'm doing that and the 2 other things, really. One being the loot and the other being the wandering monsters. I don't know if I'm going to get to it all. But I'm going to get it done before my next live stream, which will be the first one of In Search of the Unknown. All right. Now, let's see where we're at with this. So these are thieves. And I know these are in order, so I'm going to go ahead and just go through the numbering and see where we are with this. I say that and I don't actually know, because I could have skipped an elf because I ran out of fighting mage things. Because I remember, I think we ran out of fighting mages, and I only had, there was one that had more than one. I don't know where we're at with this. So we have Levin, Tredo, Bozomas. This is Estra, the elf thief, fighter thief. Then we have Laga Mundo. This is the human. And we have Flagner the Quick, who is number 6. Then we have Mezeron the Dwarf. This is number 7. Then we have Dreb, who is number 8. We have Postu, the elf, who is number 9. Then we have Harg, who's number 10. And that's where we ran out. So we have 2 left. So I'll go ahead and do that. But I'm going to go ahead and roll real quickly for male and female. As a male, female. So we have Tredo, the female. I don't like Tredo as a female name. Tredilia, maybe? Tredolina? Tredolina. We're at an L-I-A. Tredolina. Oh. L-I-N-A. Tredolina. There's an N in there. Here we go. Next one. It's male. Male. Lagamundo is male. Fagnerin is female. Okay. Fagner is a female. Well, I don't know anyone named Fagner. I think that's going to be fine. I don't have any basis for male or female on that name. And then we have Mezeron, who's female too. Male. And then post 2 is female. So we have a female elf. It's part of the reason I was holding off on making characters or getting characters painted up and everything, because I didn't know if they're male or female. Harg of the Afar is female. Okay. All right. So now I have to get more character sheets for 2 more females. So, Steven, you picked up the Dragonbane box set. What do you like about Dragonbane? I'm going to roll real quickly for the other 2. We have Afton Bar, and then we have Spore Goth. There's no TH. Spora Goth, which is a dwarf name and ridiculous. So we have another female. And then the last one with the hideous name is male. And it's going to be 11 and 12. Human. And Aftan, it has 11 strength, has an 11 intelligence. I like these decent numbers. 8 wisdom, 10 con, 13 dex, and a 9 charisma. So nothing awesome, nothing terrible. I'm going to go ahead and roll real quickly for arm and armament. So, yeah, they're going to have weapons, because the idea of a thief not having that was with the bow and the I forget what the other one was. Crossbow and bow, I think is what I went with. I rolled a 3, so this is a dagger. And for leather, or whatever, number 3 is leather armor. Yeah, somehow you would have to make it 1 to 2 sessions, or 1 session, as a thief to get into leather if you didn't have it. Last one is spelled Sporragha. Sporragha. It's a dwarf. And this is a thief. I'm hoping this either has nothing of cool or something of cool. So we have a 10 strength, a 7 intelligence, 11 wisdom, 14 con, just under hit point bonus, 12 dexterity, and an 18 charisma. All right, well, Sporagaha might be the best ever for charisma. That's kind of funny. Okay, so here's for equipment. I rolled a 1, so that's going to be a bow. And I'm going to say, I remember this part, we were going to give them 12 arrows. A case, quiver in this case, because crossbows use quivers, slings use pouches, bows use quivers. And crossbows use bolts, bows use arrows, and slings use stones. So they all have their thing. Now, the one thing I will say is it also talks about the fact that they might be higher level, and I did not take that into consideration for these characters because no party is going to have a higher level person than them. So I'm not. I will do a community post. I don't foresee third level characters right now, but I do foresee first or second because the party is second level. And then we'll go from there. Okay, so thieves are done. That leaves us with just the magic users, the fighting mages types. We'll need orange. And I remember that most of these guys were already done too. I think this is the... Let me look real quick. Welcome whoever joined over here with us. I'm going to look and see what the Dragon Bane box set looks like and what that could be. Is it one word or 2 words? Bane, 1 word. Okay, so it's a $50 box set in most places, $40 to $50. That's interesting. They have spotlights of it. And it is actually 2 words. It's on Amazon. It's a free league publishing rule book, D20 system, it looks like. Hardback book with venturing adults and teens ages 14 plus. Oh, it's kind of fun. I like the artwork on it. There's some videos I'm not playing. Let me get out of that. I mean, there was a thing with the box set. That was just the book, I think. You can get just the book for like $31 on Amazon. The box set comes with Mirth and Mayhem. That's fun. I like that. So it doesn't have the hardback book, but it comes with some stand-ups, some initiatives, treasure, a set of dice, a map, the Misty Veil, And it comes up with an adventuring and then the rules, a softback book for the rules. That's really cool. And who is it made by? Oh, it's also on sale right now. That's why it's so low. 19% off. Let me come down here. Okay, so Mirth and Mayhem is the addition. So there's the Dragonbane, Path of Glory, and the Standees bases are there. That was the other book, is the Path of Glory. It was the Mirth and Mayhem, and then the Dragonbane rule book, and they use Dragonbane as one word, not as two words. Interesting. So it's kind of like D&D. It has both. Item details. The company name is Free League. It's considered a board game. Cool. I will look into that more. Thanks for sharing that as a potential thing to look at. That looks cool. Okay. Let me go ahead and see where we are with the magic users. As I remember, we ended up being short a fighting mage character sheet or character record, so I wasn't able to do that. So we have Presto. I'm going to find out if these are male or females later. Then we have Mazio. Go ahead. Scratch through them, and we will find out what I'm missing. Then we have, here's my reason for whiteout. I remember this one because I was like, I have whiteout. I know I have whiteout. I have all sorts of whiteout. I just didn't have whiteout near me. This one is Nikar. The human magic user. Then we have Show Batham. Then we have Yor. Then we have Ralt. And this is the one I was deciding on how to pronounce it. Is it Physic or is it Physic with a K? I think it's supposed to be with a K. That's my number 7. Then we have Glam, the Misty, the Mighty. Trebolus. It's number 9. Then we have Beska, which is number 10. Fix that too while I'm here. I didn't write the B very well. Okay. Then we have Lupoi. And apparently we did get all the way through it. Surfle. Okay. So we have that. Now I need to go through. I don't need this, right? I need to determine if they're male or female. I'm first going to do the orange. What I like about the Dragonbane being a board game is board games are sometimes easier to get into for youth. So, like, my daughter might enjoy that more. The problem you have with it, though, is they tend to be no continued history, no greater story. Like it talked about the Mist and Mayhem. You know, that sounds like a box set or like a setting that's probably limited to that board. Kind of like a Hero's Quest. You have to get all the different things. And at least that one comes with the potential of everything. I remember what happened. We ran out of character sheets. So, for example, Lapoi is an elf. I just put him on a regular character sheet for like a one of the combined classes. I was right. So that's the only part about that. And I have really looked at getting some of the Hero Quest stuff. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. They do have a little bit more of a Warhammer Fantasy RPG or a Necromunda style where you can do like campaigns or wars. And I think that works really well. I've also seen that Conan has a Warhammer Quest type board game that came out, and that looks really good where you can get the picks and all of them. So I don't know. Time and money are my limiting factors. Presto is a male. Okay. Mezzo is a male. So this one's female. Nakar, I'm going to put an at the end. An A, I mean, is female. So we have a female. Another male. Another female. So Ralt Gaither is female. Ralt. Ralty. Put an I. Ralty is going to be female. We have another female. The Finnick. That's going to be female. That name is weird enough. I don't think we need to change anything. No one's walking around named Finnick that I know of. Maybe I'm not cultured enough. I don't know. Maybe that's a real strong Dutch name for a male or something. And if it is, we'll just have to play it by ear. Oop, they're female. Lapoy. I think Lapoy is a great female name. All right, so we have 3 females. I am good with 3 females. And they don't get extra gear. We got their spells, right? Yes. So we are done with characters. We have 12 of each class. Now we're going to move on. I'm going to take this. This is my one from the first campaign. Personality thing. I'm going to save that one real quick. And then we're going to jump into Wandering Monsters Encounters. Give me 1 second. I got to go do something. I'm back. Thank you for waiting. I'm sorry about that. All right, so now we have the Water Monster Cat. This is orange. It's a very fluorescent orange. In the light, it kind of turns like a yellow. I'm looking for the right paper. I need my monster list one. Is it over here? It's not there. Oh yes, I need to move this. Okay, so this is the life and death sheet that's going to go over here with the characters. And it's going to go eventually in my book of the NPCs, shall we say. And I need to find my, I saw it earlier. I separated it out. That's not it. That would be my FMLA paperwork for work. I need to put away. Over here, maybe? No. Maybe that was it. No. That's something else. That goes with that. Well, I do have it on PDF. I just won't be able to cross things out. So I'm just going to have to look up a little bit. Let me go to the PDF and search the unknown. All right, so we just got done going through two different parts. Yeah, I don't need that. Okay, so there's the part called Keying the Dungeon. It's on page 24 of B1 on my version of it that I got off of drivethrurpg.com. I am an affiliate for that place, just so you know. Any books you buy helps me buy more PDFs moving forward. Okay, on page 25, we have the start of it. And this is going to be for monsters. So I'm not going to get into all the stats because that's going to be kept separately. What I am going to do is I'm going to put the number, and then I'm going to go ahead and put what it is and how many. I don't need to worry about special abilities. It doesn't give treasure. It's going to be on the creature itself. But number one, I'm going to write this in my Sharpie, are orcs. Okay. And I'm going to put 1, 2, 4. And that's all I'm doing. Just that little simple bit. That's it. And I'm going to turn that upside down. And we'll come back to how this gets hidden later. Number 2 is troglodytes. I'm going to put a little thing so so it's going to be like that. Next one is troglodytes, which is why I got to get my troglodytes painted. I need 1 to 2. See, just like that. Then we have kobolds. This is 2 to 9. So a D8 plus 1. Then we have ghouls for number 4. We have 1 to 2. And number 5 is centipedes, giant. And that is 1 to 4. Then we have Carrion Crawler, 1. One of the other things I want to do is not only that I want to get a PC for every character I've rolled up of the 48, but I want to have a I want to have all the monsters to make sure I'm not like deep diving into my monsters. You can't see it right now, but I literally have 7 like containers for monsters, and then I have those 3 back there. One has miniatures I'm going to paint, which are like PCs, and then 2 of them have like one has like goblins, and then the other one has like creatures, animals, that type of thing. Sorry, we're on number 7. Is that right? 1 next to the Carrion Crawler. Okay. And I'm leaving space because when I actually pull the creature, I'm going to go ahead and start filling it out, and eventually I'll just have everything filled. But I'm not trying to do all that in live stream. So number 7 is orcs. But I'm not going to try and do it in between sessions because 2 to 7 on this. I'm not trying to see what creatures are potentially I'm going to draw and in what room they're in. Large spiders is number 8. And this is 1 to 4, right? 1 to 3. Apparently I can't write the word spider. All right. Then we have more troglodytes for 9. There, 1 to 2. Then we have a giant tick. I do not have that miniature. That is actually a thing I do not have. This was supposed to be over here for my that's for my my board. Trying to find something I can write on. Regular paper would be nice. I can use the back of this. I gotta figure out something for the giant tick. How many giant ticks are there? 1. Giant tick is something I need. A lot of modules call for giant ticks. Number 11 is sturges. Now you know I have 10. If you watch the first part of my thing, I'll do a community post showing those. It's going to be 2 to 5. Yes. Then gnolls. I need probably gnoll miniatures, more of them. I have a couple, several. It's number 12. And no. And this is 1, 2, 4. but I don't know if I have 4. I'm pretty close to 4, but I don't have like 8 or 9. So it's a little bit unfortunate. Then we have Shriekers, which I need to get painted. So number 13 is Shriekers. And there's a D4. Then we have Skeletons. Steven says Frostgrave has some great gnolls and not for a lot of casts. Just saying, I agree. Steven, you have a great night, sir. I am glad to have caught your last message while you're still here. Be safe. And I will check that out. I've been looking at actually the Frostgrave stuff anyways for nerdy, I'm addicted to game reasons. And there's I want to say a video game called Frostgrave, which is probably unrelated. Number 15 is Hobgoblins. And that is 2 to 5. Then we have regular goblins. Which is 1 to 8. That's number 16. Then we have giant rats. Which is going to be 2 to 7. Then we have zombies. Which is number 18. There's 1 to 2 zombies. I will have to check it out. Then we have kobolds as number 19. And that's going to be 2 to 5. Then we have bandits. That's 20. And there are 1 to 4. So imagine 2 bandits run into a party of 5. They're probably going to run away, but we have a potential for Nemesis. And then that happens a couple times, and eventually Nemesis, you know, you could have way more than 4 bandits here. It just takes a little bit. Orca Jelly is number 21. And there's only 1 of those. All right. Will destroy wood, leather, or cloth. Only affected by fire or cold. Interesting. Number 22 is gnomes. 2 to 5. What's interesting about gnomes as a monster is they are a lawful creature. So if you're chaotic good, chaotic evil, they have more of a problem with you than if you're lawful evil or lawful good. They prefer lawful good, but in original rules they were just straight lawful. Okay, orcs for number 23. Two to 7. Then we have a huge spider for number 24. If you remember in my book, that's wrote as a giant black widow. And then number 25, the last one, is goblins. There's 1 to 6. Okay, so nothing in here is absolutely terrifying. There are no, well, I mean, there's stuff in here terrifying. The orca jelly would be pretty terrifying. 2 ghouls could be absolutely terrifying. Gnolls would be pretty scary. As I remember right, gnolls have more than 1 hit dice in this edition. Carrion Growl would be terrifying. How many hit dice does the... Yeah, they're like 2 hit dice. One's badly hurt, though. Okay, so I have wrote them down. I put them back on here. And the reason why is we're going to find out how many rooms there are. So I show us at 56. Okay. So how this works is like this. I go all the way back here to 25. Okay. Now 26. I'll leave it blank. Now 27. Leave it blank. And so on. Go up to 30. Almost a little over halfway done. It's a lot faster though without all the names and numbers. Now, what this allows me to do is if I want to add something later, I can. If I feel like the dungeon is too easy, I can. If I need to replace a number because I want to have less troglodytes and more kobolds or whatever, I can. That was 32, 33. Allows me to personalize my dungeon. If I don't want to have so many different gonzo things, talking and trying to remember at the same time is hard. It allows me to do that. Anyways, these are going to be my B1 Search of the Unknown cards. Because I'm going to just save them. And then if I ever replay it, it allows me to go through, pick 25 cards or whatever I'm going to pick. Not 25 cards. The recommendation is to have 15 to 20. $36, $37. And I'm going to go to the first 25. I'm going to pick that. And then I'm going to roll a d6. And 15 is 15. Then 17, 18, 19, 20 is the 6th number. So I'll roll a 15 plus a d6, and we'll go from there. Not quite perfect of what they're recommending, but then I'll go ahead and add that to the other stack, and yeah, that will be what we have. 39, 40. So I'm actually going to take these cards not out to 56, but up to 62. Because, and then I will not use whatever the very end is because I'm rolling a d6. If that makes sense. And that will give me replayability in that particular dungeon, or any other dungeon I make 56 cards long, or whatever. Oh, 44. And then whether I have a creature on the card or not, I just shuffle it and then I add it to the deck. Is that 48 next? Yes. $49. We're almost done. Here's 50. 51. 52. 53. 54. 55. I probably will do this again on a shorter video talking about the replayability of the dungeon because of these cards and the randomness of it. What a great solo thing. $58. $59. $60. And we're going up to 62. $61. And 62. Okay. So while I got a couple people watching, let me just go ahead and show you what that looks like. Minimize this real quick so I can see if I'm on camera. I'm going to roll a d6. So we're going to have 15 plus a d6. I have no idea what that is. That is 4. So we're going to end up with 19, 18. So I'm going to pull 2 cards because that's how what was left in the dice. And those 2 cards are going to come over here. And then I'm going to go turn these face down. And I'm going to do, first of all, let's go ahead and do stacks of like 3 or 4. And then kind of shuffle them up this way. Someone just gave me a text message. My dad got to where he was getting. That's awesome. Okay, so I know the bottom one is going to be something like that because that's just how it broke. I don't know what this is now. So now we have that like that. So now we have completely randomized this, but it's going to be kind of clustered in groups. So I don't want to do stacks of 4 different stacks. And I don't want to do 6 because that's a multiple of 2. I'm just going to do 5 or 7. I'm just going to go with 5 because of space. And I'm going to do 5 different stacks. And then I'm going to go and randomize this a bit more and make sure that I'm at least dropping a card on each one of these before I go on and start a new round. Some of them can be in order, some of them can be in counter order, starting at different places, it doesn't matter. We're kind of into this far enough, I have no idea what's what. But what we have is some of these cards are going to be encounter cards, and some of these are not encounter cards. And I don't know which one is which because I have added non-encounter cards to it and I've added encounter cards to it, and now I've gone through and shuffled them, and we are literally, and again, even if I overstacked some of this, it doesn't really matter. The most important thing is I'm trying to get this in groups of 5 as best as I can. And then that will allow us to have this deck split up the most evenly. And I'll take these, and I'll even pick these up in different orders. I'll put that in the bottom. Excuse me. This microphone is not able to hold the weight of the microphone I have, which is so ridiculous and bizarre that is a literal problem for this stand. And I don't see how I'm supposed to tighten anything. Like this only tightens this front part, so it doesn't actually tighten anything. Anyways, this here is my encounters. I don't know what they are. I don't know what they order in. But when I do this, we know that there are 56 rooms. So I pulled off the wrong damn thing. I'm going to pull 2 creatures out of here at random. Four creatures out of here at random. And then insert the, yes. And find 4 creatures. I don't want to know what they are. I just want to see that they're more than a blank. This is more than a blank. I don't know what it is. But wherever it is, that's now that. So I'm pulling 4 creatures out. This is a creature of some sort. Now I need to do this 2 more times. Whatever this is. And whatever that is. Perfect. Okay. So. I did 62. I need to find 2 blank cards. Ah, burn it. That's not a blank. That's not a blank. That's not a blank. Okay, here's a blank. Oh, top 2 happen to be blank. Okay, so I'm going to put these in the front. You might have just seen what that is. I didn't see it, though. So now I have my 6 cards. 6 from 62 gives me 56. And that's how many rooms we have. Now I'm going to come over here. Oh, I have really made a mess here, haven't I? Perfect. Put this over here in case I need it. I'm going to leave this like that. And that's just going to go over here. This is going to sit over here for right now. And we're going to go into the next one. This is loot. And again, we're going to do numbering 1 through 56. And I think there's more loot than there is other. Yes, there is more treasure. And I'm going to... They do an alphabetic system. I'm not doing an alphabetic system because remember I'm going up to 56 and I'm not trying to do that. They literally go yeah, I'd be into triple digits on things. AA and BB or AAA and BBB. I guess I could do it this way. It still works. All right, so we have A is a leather pouch with 10 gold. Okay. Then we have 15 gold is B. I'm going to put a comma and then put that there so I understand more of what I'm looking at. And we're going to do the same type of thing here. $28 gold. And then we're going to have a small wooden box with 35 gold. That's D. Then we have a dagger with jeweled handle. It's got some good value. Gems and onyx. So that's going to be E. I want to tell you one of the things I'm really looking forward to this. So this module has a lot of really personalized stuff in it. Like bed frames and whatnot from them and all that. And bookshelves and books. And to me, that looks really cool. I'm going to put value 250 GP with onyx. Gems. Put that in brackets below it. Now F is 200 silver pieces. That's all it is. G is 8 10-piece gold gems. They're agates. put agate gems. $10 GP each. Then we have a +1 mace for H. Then we have a false map. I think I'm just going to list it as map, and then we'll go from there. So I found on page 26. J is a +2 spear. I'm just going to be completely honest. Orm would have loved that. He liked using a spear because it kept him a space away from combat. He ended up going with a +1 sword, and he ended up dying. So maybe it was better to stick with the spear. I don't know. But it was just bad luck for him to die. K is 120 gold. L is a medallion made of silver. $500 gold pieces. That is a lot of XP is what that is. Then we have a nice pearl. It's going to be M. It's worth 100 gold pieces. So later editions, they would take that 100 gold piece pearl and they would turn that into a spell component for Identify. This is a chest with a lot of money, I'm assuming, in it. Or you need a chest to be able to get this out. It's not a lot of money, though. It's just a lot of coins. This is 2,450 copper. Or what would be 245 gold. Not a lot. I think that's right. Silver is divided by 10. It's 24.5 gold. That's all it is. I was off by a decimal. Not a lot. Onyx statue. That's number O. It's obviously not a very big statue. It's only worth 200 gold. Consider that more of like a figurine. And then we have 820 silver pieces, or 82 gold. That's in P. And then we have 4,100 gold piece in gems. I'm going to call that assorted garnets and then put value of 4,100. That's in Q. It's a live XP is what that is. Four, comma 100 GP. Okay. Mind you don't know what room this is going to be in. In a lock chest, we have 620 gold. Then we have a scroll. With 2 spells that are cleric. So cleric, scroll. And it does say to roll these spells at random or give them 2 cure lights. I'm just going to go roll at random. Okay. Next is T. This is a false magic wand, finely detailed, radiates magic, but has no other magical properties. And this is what page again? 26. Because I may or may not remember that. Whoop. Number U. Not a good day. That is a bag of devouring. This one has a expensive Peridot. V. Uh, 500 gold piece. Then we have a +1 shield. W. This gives you like a really granular level of understanding of what's in this dungeon. X. Inlaid with silver and copper. Only worth 115 gold, though. Okay. Then we have a silver mirror of exceptional quality. This is Y. And the silver mirror has 90 gold value. And number Z is a +1 suit of chainmail. Then we have AA, which is a gold ring. That's worth 10 gold. They put in there non-magical, as if that's not self-explanatory. That a gold ring worth 10 gold is not magical. Then we have BB, which is a magic user scroll. First level scroll. One spell. At random. I need to go back. There was that cleric. It was a first level cleric spell. What number was that? S. Want to make sure we know it's a first level scroll, not a going to have a 9th or a 7th on there. And we got CC, which is a silver bracelet worth 80 gold. $80 silver pieces, not even gold pieces. And then we have DD, which is a locked chest. And this one has a variety of stuff. 890 or 840 copper. Uh, 290 silver piece. 120 electrum piece. And then 25 gold pieces. I like the fact they use different currencies. I think that's important. Then we have a Ring of Protection +1 for EE. Okay. And then we have 4 gold rods, each worth 30 gold pieces. They are small, apparently. FF. Okay, and then we have GG. A crystal goblet worth 15 gold, engraved with the word Quizzicutin on it. See, stuff like that. Stuff like that. Whoever gets that should never sell it. And they should be seen using that to drink from. I should get me one. Because I think that'd be fun. And HH, the last magic item, is a potion of invisibility with 2 doses, each worth 2 hours. I'm not going to do multiple doses in the same thing. I think that's a system that went away. I'm just going to do 2 potions. Okay. There are 34 items here, as we know. I'm going to go ahead and continue this on. So we have G, H, so we have I, we have J, then we have K, L's, into the L's. Then we have a wrapper for Eminem. We have N, right? Then we have O for 2 O's. Then we have PP for 2 P's. And what am I thinking of? Q. QQ. Get some cry. And we have R's. Then we have S. we have T's, of course, yes. Then we have U's. We have VV for Vivs. Then we have W's. Then we have X for 2 X's. Then we have Y for Y's. And we have Z's for S. All right. So we have $52. Yes. So here is 53, which is going to be A with 3 layers. 54 is B's. $55 is C's. Then we have 56 is D's. Triple D's. Okay, so let me see how many we're supposed to be rolling. What's the range? Between 25 and 15 to 25. So we're going to take this out 10 more to from 56 to 66. And we're going to roll a D10. Let's do that first. Triple D is where we're at right now. Okay. So we're rolling a D10. That's 4. So we're going to have 15, 16, 17, 18. So I'm going to shuffle these up real quick. And take out 6. Okay, so we know these are all things. We're going to pull 6 cards out. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know what these are. I'm going to grab just a blank, put it in the front so I can't see it. Come over here, put these together, and that goes back over there out of the way. All right, so we'll get to this in a second. Yeah, we're currently on triple D's, right? So now we got triple E's. And you do this 10 times. Then we have triple F's for 2. And triple G's for 3. Triple H's. For 4s, E, F, G, H, yes. I's. For 5 is 3I. And then we have J's for 7. K's for 8. L's for 9. And then M's, triple M. That's for 10. Okay. So, this one here, these are just the blanks. These don't mean anything. I'm just going to keep these together with another clip. This will go over here. I was thinking about doing a different one for this, for restocking, but I'm not going to do that for right now. I'm going to do that a little different. I will have cards. I will probably do that, but I'm not going to do it just like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and shuffle these up so they're not all like that, because that is too much, like we were just doing there a little bit ago. We're going to do this again with 5s. And again, these don't have to be in order when they're coming down. We have no idea what it's actually going to be. I'm hoping that the loot will not be all pushed to one section. If it's at the beginning, that could be fun. And I don't know what we're missing out on. But hopefully not that +2 spear and not that +1 mace or the +1 chainmail. That'd be nice. Unfortunately, there's no like +1 plate mail in there. Like, I think having an item like that would be nice for an event, or +1 shield. There's no way for a person to get to an AC1. I don't know. I mean, okay, that's a level of game design that I think is worth checking into. Do I think that level 1 to 3, or characters that are leaving characters level 1 to 3, should start getting into the +1, like getting to AC1, AC0? Because if the guy with a +1 shield and a +1 plate mail is in the same group, or the same person, then they are now they're now AC0. I don't know if I like AC0 on someone that's not higher level. Okay. So I have 2 stacks. Right, they're obviously different colors. Set them aside. This is 100 envelopes. I'm going to come here and I'm going to write 1. Let's do that with pen. I feel like the marker on this doesn't do well because it's it drops in there. So here's 2, 3. The outside's fine. Doesn't matter if they're also they can't find out by mistake. So 4, 3. I found I cannot write numbers and talk at the same time. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 4, 35, here's 36, 37, 38, 39, here's 40. I actually need 57 total. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, here's 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58. I don't need to go this far. I do need 57. I don't need to go that far. So I'm going to go ahead and white this out. This will be one I use. There's not 57 rooms. Certainly not 58 rooms. Okay. Now we'll go right here. Okay, and then this will go over here with this stuff. This is my leftovers. Find a place to put it. Okay. Now, the 57th one, the one I marked through, that is going to house the extra cards. And I'm going to seal it. I'm going to mark on this. And today's date is the 26th. Okay. And then this will just go right back up here for wherever reason. And then all this, doesn't matter which order they go in, because I don't know what this is. I know this is room number 56, but I don't know what this green and what this orange one are. And now I just stuff envelope. And if you're really being pedantic, you would seal that, but I'm not. I'm going to reuse this. This is for reusing. If I was doing a tournament, I probably would seal it. Or if I was sending this to a friend and we were playing like by post or whatever, you know, they make the dungeon and design. I don't know what it is. And then I make creatures and treasure. And then we just send it off. You know, that'd be interesting. Okay. One green, one yellow, or orange per thing. Some of these were encounters, some of these were loot, some of these were nothing. And now, we don't know. It's completely random. I thought about taking the bonus ones and doing it as restock 1, 2, 3, and then having that. But I think what I'm going to do on the restock, I'm not going to use their items. I'm going to roll randomly for different items that could be there because I want that a little bit variant. Because if you were to restock the dungeon enough, eventually you would roll the +2 spear if that's what you really wanted, and you would get that spear, or you would get the 4,100 gems, gold pieces and gems, if that's what you really want. I mean, that's like a character level right there. Also, the one thing I'm not sure, because they didn't do this in B1, they didn't have separate first and second level. So outside of what's in the room, there is no difference in the encounter or treasure that you succeed in fighting, which I find to be interesting. And outside the realm of what's normal in early Dungeons and Dragons. So that's interesting to me too. But yeah, we'll have to see what this turns into and go from there. And next one will actually be us taking the characters into the dungeon and explaining how this is going to work. Matter of fact, while I'm doing this, this is how it's going to work. I know that the Keep of the Borderland in Search of the Unknown is not near a town. They had no like rest and relaxation or whatever. So to kind of get that feel, but not to not exactly have that feel, I'm going to put it near a hamlet, and there's going to be like a place where the patron is going to be able to kind of not really answer, if that makes sense, but to like have like a hall or whatever, like private chambers almost. And a little bit of resources. But we're not going to have like we're going to be putting in requests for people, and essentially the people we're going to get are going to come in through like hired help, and we're not going to have like a lot of time. Basically, we have to write off a letter to our patron saying, hey, we need some people. Please send 2 or send 3 or send 4. And the liaison, the sage we have, will be the only one in town. And they're going to send off for people from far off places. And they're going to basically come in, and we're not going to have any idea who they are. We're going to roll to see if they're evil or not. We already know if they're male or female. We know what gear they have or what spells they potentially could know. But that's about it. And from there, we will go ahead and figure it out. But that's why they're going to spend 2 weeks trying to get their gear. I'm going to have a blacksmith in this hamlet, and he's going to be the one that's going to be able to do the armor. So it's going to be like a little rest home, blacksmith, a couple farmers. That's it. Nothing map worthy. Anyone figure after however many hours of me doing videos, I'd end it with a stuffing envelope session? We're looking at 3.5 hours in. That is a long time. It's 10 o'clock at night. At least where I'm at. Ugh. I am tired. I'm glad I got this done, but I'm tired. I still need to eat and relax. I think I kind of showed you that card. Uh-oh, you might have the one person currently watching might have a a sneak peek into what I have. Or maybe I'll go to 3 hours and 37 minutes to find out what that one thing was. No. If I cared about it that much, I would just go ahead and look at the cards later. But here's the reality. It's as much fun for me to not know as it is for you guys to not know when something comes up. It's kind of like new D&D players look behind the screen to see what the Dungeon Master has wrote down after when he goes to the bathroom or she goes to the bathroom. Old D&D players don't because they want to be surprised. Yeah, that's what that is. That's the difference between a veteran D&D player and a youthful D&D player. Or could be the difference, I should say. You know, I'm sitting here thinking, and I know I'm 3.5 hours into a stream that probably no one will ever watch this far into. But can you imagine doing this for 8 hours a day? 5-6 days a week, like some of these live stream people. I'm sitting here talking a lot to try and fill the void so it's not like just completely dead air for the thankful person I have watching at this time and whoever else might join in before I'm able to realize that, and it's not just completely dead silence. But can you imagine doing that? The amount of circular talking you'd have to do. The amount of stories you'd have to tell. All right, no way. I can talk for a while. Ain't no way with what I got going on right now. I'd have to take better care of my voice. I'd have to have something over here with like honey and lemon in it or something. I guess, from what I understand, your voice gets stronger. Like your voice just gets used to talking for that amount. So yeah, there is some consideration for sure about I wouldn't be drinking tea, and I would want to do this by level, not for the 2 levels combined. Per se, I don't think this dungeon really views it that way. But if you did it for like a mega dungeon, oh my gosh, oh, the envelope system would have to be way better. Instead of just having a room 5, I'd have to have like first floor room 5. It would be messed up if all my numbers were off and I ended up not having something for room 1. I'm afraid. Or is this worse? I have 3 loot cards extra. Oh, it's so lame. All right. So I'm going to put these facing a different direction. I'm not going to look. I want to know what loot did I not give myself. And we're going to tape this. Well, I guess that's it for my tape. I still have to destroy the envelope to get to it. Save that for terrain. True nerd at heart. Okay. I don't know. But this is going to sit right here. And then that will be for B1. And I need to get giant ticks and shriekers painted. I got shriekers. I just got to get me a giant tick miniature. And we'll go from there. And maybe some gnolls. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Keep rolling the dice. Bye.